Every fast growing county has communities waiting for their moment. Some have already exploded with growth, others are just getting started. Today, we're heading to one of those places, a town with railroad roots, a farming history, and a future that could look very different over the next decade. This is the story of Arcola, Texas. Hey, everybody, welcome back. My name is Ashton St. Jean. I'm the mayor of Fort Bend County, and I'm your Greater Houston realtor. Whether you're thinking about moving here, investing here, or you've called Fort Bend County home your whole life, this channel is your go-to guide for everything Fort Bend. Every week, we're exploring the history, the communities, the hidden gems, and the future of Fort Bend County. We're putting the spotlight today on Arcola, Texas. Well, where is Arcola? If you've never stopped in Arcola, you're not alone. It's one of Fort Bend County's smaller communities located just south of Missouri City and close to Highway 6, FM 521, and State Highway 288. The location has always been one of its biggest strengths. You're close enough to Houston for an easy commute while still being surrounded by open land that reminds you of Fort Bend County's agricultural past, and it just gives you maybe a little bit slower pace of life than what you would get in the city. Because larger neighboring communities receive most of the attention, Arcola often flies under the radar. But sometimes the places people overlook today become the places everyone is talking about tomorrow. Why is it called Arcola? Like many communities that developed in the late 1800s, Arcola grew around transportation and agriculture. The town was established after the railroad reached the area, making it easier for local farmers to move crops and supplies throughout Texas. Early settlers relied on the rich farmland surrounding the community, and agriculture became the foundation of the local economy. The name Arcola is believed to have been borrowed from Arcola, Illinois, a practice that was fairly common as new communities were established across the United States. In fact, its neighboring community, Fresno, as I've mentioned in a previous video, stole its name from Fresno, California. Settlers often brought familiar names with them as they started new lives in Texas, kind of made their new home feel like their previous home. For decades, Arcola remained a quiet farming community where life revolved around the land, the railroad, and the close relationships built between neighbors. Well, the turning point. For much of the 20th century, Arcola changed very little. But eventually, Houston began expounding south and expanding west. Highways improved, employment centers grew. Nearby communities like Missouri City and Pearland experienced rapid development. Suddenly, Arcola wasn't as isolated as it once had been. Today, its location places it in the path of continued regional growth. While Arcola has remained much smaller than many neighboring cities, its accessibility and available land make it a community worth watching as Fort Bend County continues to evolve. I think that's one of the most interesting parts of Arcola's story. Its biggest chapter is really still in front of it. What's it like today out there? Well, today Arcola offers a mix of old and new. You'll still find reminders of its agricultural history, but you'll also see new homes, improved infrastructure, and growing interest from people who want convenient access to Houston without living in the middle of a dense urban area. For buyers looking for more space, a quieter environment, and the opportunity to live in a community that's continuing to grow, Arcola deserves a closer look. You're almost getting in the new before it becomes rapid. It's not trying to become another Sugarland. It's becoming its own community, one step at a time. Here in about a decade, we could be referring to Arcola as we do with some of the other bigger Fort Bend communities. Well, my mayor's minute. One thing I love about Arcola is that it reminds us growth does not happen all at once. Lots of time growth happens over years, decades, or maybe nothing at all for a lot of its history, and then a lot of growth in one decade. I think Arcola is definitely one of those places. Sometimes communities spend decades quietly preparing for the next chapter, and Arcola definitely checks that box. Its history deserves to be remembered, but I also think its future is worth paying attention to. As Fort Bend County continues growing, don't be surprised if more people begin to discover Arcola and what it has to offer. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's story of Arcola, Texas. That's exactly why I created this series, to uncover the history, the people, and the communities that make Fort Bend County unlike anywhere else in Texas. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me which Fort Bend community you'd love to see next. If you're thinking about buying, selling, relocating, or investing anywhere in Fort Bend County or the greater Houston area, I'd love the opportunity to help. I'm Ashton St. Jean. I'm the mayor of Fort Bend County. And remember, I'm your Greater Houston realtor. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.